villains in movies, TV shows, and why do we love them so? So I'll move on to the movie side.
Okay.
Now, I will do some honorable mentions because I don't technically have them on the top list. And if you come up with a name, just interject it.
Honorable mentions. Okay.
Yeah, okay. One, Nurse Hatchet. Was it Nurse Hatchet?
Nurse Hatchet's an honorable mention.
Yeah.
All right.
The
But
list-
she was pretty damn evil, man.
She was very,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, there's just something about
Okay. Okay.
about when Jack Nicholson's going, the game is on. Let's just watch the game. And she
Okay.
wouldn't let them watch the game.
Okay, well, you know what? I would have moved her up a slot. Okay. But she's going to have to tie with somebody.
Oh, well,
But
okay,
she'll
well.
at least be in the top 20
Okay.
because you're right.
Yeah. I mean,
You're right. But okay, then.
she was so evil. She was so evil that I'm like, I wanted the Indian to choke her and kill
Yeah.
her at the end. Not Jack. What are you doing? To kill the nurse.
Okay. Spoilers for
I mean,
a 50
if you've not
60.
seen a 50-some-year-old movie, I'm sorry.
Okay, you're right. Nurse Hatchet is going to move up. So, okay, honorable mention. Then I will have to say Kathy Bates, Misery. I mean,
She loved her stories.
which was worse, the story or Sledgehammer? She's like,
The Sledgehammer was classic, wasn't it?
but she's like toxic fans that you get on the internet now.
Yeah. Well,
I'll never get over where she read the novel that she wanted and she didn't like it. She came back, you got to do it again.
Yeah.
And at one point, you got poor James Caan in a wheelchair and his legs. He said, "This is unacceptable." And she slams the book right at his legs, and you're just going like, "Oh." She kidnaps him so he can write. She didn't like the fact he killed off one of her favorite characters, and so she's making him literally write.
I heard that was Stephen King's biggest nightmare. That's why he wrote that.
And now it's ours.
Yeah.
Because I swear, when I saw that one, I thought that was terrible.
Yeah.
Another honorable mention is Scar from The Lion King. Jeremy Irons' voice. Oh my goodness.
Can't beat that.
And the fact that he was brother with Mufasa.
Yeah.
You got James Earl Jones and killed him.
Well, yeah, one of the classic lines of all time. You have no idea. You know.
See all the villains. All the villains, they
have
get the
great
good lines.
yeah.
And a lot of villains could also get, they always
get
get
the
laid.
ladies.
They get
They get the
laid.
ladies.
They get laid a lot.
Look at the ladies.
What do you outside of Scar? Is there any other villains on, be it like Disney, that you can think of?
Disney was built on villains.
Yes.
I mean, the Wicked Witch.
Well, that
mean,
was a
Well,
there's
it
so
was
many.
a lot.
There's so many witches.
I mean,
You're right.
I mean, what is it? Snow White. I mean, technically, what is she? I mean, is she a witch or a queen? But she's a dark,
I think she's a
yeah,
queen.
she's a queen, but she's got a dark. She
that-
looks in that mirror. She can conjure up things. So she's
that
got
mo-
some kind of special powers.
Was that what's her name?
Maleficent.
Say it again.
Maleficent.
Yeah, was that her?
I guess.
I think that's in the story. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's.
I mean, she had witch powers, I guess, or
Yeah.
some kind of supernatural powers.
I think you could go through, and you're right. Disney was built on villains.
Oh yeah,
Captain Hook.
Captain Hook, one of the great villains of all time.
Oh yeah,
Bambi and the Hunter. Or
the biggest villain of them all.
the biggest villain of them,
The Hunter.
the
Yeah.
Hunter. I mean, almost every great Disney character that we remember, I think, had a great villain in all those stories.
I think you're right. I think we could actually do
The
another
Disney villains.
Yes, another show on just the Disney villains. Okay, and a couple more honorable mention is this was suggested by Jim, which he hit a couple. Baltimore, Harry Potter. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
that would be like 21.
he had no nose.
Head no nose.
Head
How
no
do you
nose.
trust a guy? And you know why he was such a good villain too? You couldn't even mention his name in the first two movies.
Yeah.
He who shall not be mentioned. I mean,
That's a
seriously,
build-up for
That's
you.
a build-up for
Yeah,
you. He who should not, Harry, do not mention his name. He who shall not be mentioned. So right off the bat, he didn't even show up until...
Because by mentioning him, you gave him too much power.
Exactly. So he really did. I mean, and the funny thing is he didn't really show up until the fourth Harry Potter book. I mean, The Goblet of Fire.
Right.
That was actually when they cast Ray Fiennes.
I always thought it was funny that when the Harry Potter films would always come out on Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
And you and I would always go see one of these movies after Thanksgiving dinner, and I would always fall asleep halfway through the movies because they were like usually 3 hours long.
Yeah, halfway. Sometimes you'll fall asleep like 30 minutes going into it. You eat the turkey,
Boom.
but the funny thing is when you watch those Harry Potter films, it really is like going a semester with them.
Right.
Because you're there with the changes of the season. I was just like, oh, it's snowing already? Oh, my God.
Right.
J.K. Simmons in Whiplash.
Whiplash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really good. He is such a villain. He's such a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
He's like, you get those teachers that will abuse their students because on the surface it's going to make you great.
Right.
But really it's a power trip.
Yeah.
It's a fucking power trip.
I've had some acting coaches like
I was
that.
gonna mention that. I was gonna mention that. And then the last of my honorable mentions is, you got to throw in a little bit of comedy. Well, this is gonna tie. I wish I could have got him on the list. Is Harvey Korman in Blazing Saddles?
Oh, and not Harvey Keitel?
Okay, we did that joke.
Okay.
Yes, Harvey Korman.
Yeah, Harvey Korman, yeah.
Hedy Lamarr. He's the perfect comic villain.
Yeah.
He is and so foul.
He literally was the
He
was this mustache guy.
yeah, but mustache twirling.
Yeah.
But he was so funny.
Right.
He was so funny, and you got to give it up to Dr. Evil.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Mike Myers, Dr. It's funny because when I first watched the first Austin Powers, I was so enamored with Austin Powers. But it was the second movie where all of a sudden I was straight with Dr. Evil.
Yeah, I mean the second movie became Dr. Evil's film.
Yeah,
I think.
it really did. With Mini-Me.
Yeah.
And the whole zip, zip. Yeah, I mean the idea of we're gonna because he's been frozen like Austin
Once
Powers.
again, the villain steals the show.
Exactly. I love it. I'm gonna hold the world hostage for $1 million. No. That's what did Robert Wagner said? We own several Starbucks and we make 10 times more than that. $1 billion. Yes. So those are my honorable mentions. Okay. So, top 20.
Okay.
Starting at number 20.
All right, here we go. That was just your honorable mention.
That was just my honorable mention. I just had to get
now we're on the actual list.
We're on the list.
We're on the list.
You'll see why.
Okay. Well,
these did not make it.
Okay. This is the real list.
Okay. And one more honorable mention.
Oh my God.
Jaws, the shark.
How can Jaws be an honorable mention, Greg? Jaws should be on number one.
Because I was not going to take away a human actor for the shark.
No, you're talking about Bruce. Bruce is the ultimate villain of all time.
Wait till you hear the list.
All right.
And
I still say Jaws has got to be number one. Okay.
Well, see, this is why you should have made your list.
I should have made my list.
There you go. No.
But if I would have made a list, Jaws would have been number one.
Well,
honorable mention.
Honorable mention, exactly. Or I tell you what.
Oh, don't do me any favors. Don't move him up there just because.
No. I think I could. You know what? You talked me into it. He's on the list. But I know where I'm going to tie him with.
Okay. All right.
But since I am doing ties, and Jaws I know exactly where I'm going to put him.
Okay.
So number 20, Colonel Walter E. Kurtz. Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Talk about a man that...
Few words.
Very few words. But when he did speak, you didn't understand what the fuck he was talking about. But it was fantastic. Somehow, Brando made something that was gibberish sounds genius.
Well, I mean, most of it was improv, right?
There you go.
Do you find any method to my madness?
I found no method at all. And I love how Coppola described it in his documentary. The idea was Kurtz was supposed to be this very in shape colonel, that's ripped and worked out, and Brando came to set overweight, and then he just had to
read the script.
Didn't read the script. Didn't read the book exactly. So then he had to completely change it. And just said, okay, then he added the weight for the character.
Which was brilliant.
Yes.
I mean, when you really think about talk about thinking on your feet.
Yes.
And having to, dude, that was the ultimate improv.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, no, it's great.
And you know something?
Mm-hmm.
It made it better.
It made it better. Yeah.
Because we've seen, you expect a rugged,
Exactly.
And I remember even the photographs that he's looking at, when he's on the boat, he's looking at these photographs. And I think there's some old photographs from an earlier film that he did where he's got that green beret.
Yeah.
And he's like, he looks like Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he looks like a green beret.
Yeah, he's like rugged and tough looking, And then you see him, he's this bald, kind of heavy set dude, and he's just like in the shadows. But he scared the fuck out of you because he knew that this guy had lost it.
Yes.
I mean, when he goes in those little poetry readings, about when he's like reading poetry to him, and I'm like going,
you have a scene. If you told me you had a scene where you had Marlon Brando, who literally is improvising his ass off, Martin Sheen trapped in a cage, who had a heart attack and had to come back and finish his scenes, and then you had Dennis Hopper in one scene, and somehow you were able to make that work.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Genius.
Francis Ford Coppola, my hat is off to you. So,
I mean, that, talk about just, that's a whole other podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Itself.
And the fact that he literally, natives followed him. They treat him like a god. Yeah. Talk about the ultimate cult leader.
Yeah.
That was terrifying. And came at the end, too. Mm-hmm. That's, again, how great that movie was that it was
hard. What do you think, 20 minutes at the end of the film or something like that?
At least.
That's all?
That was it. That was it. And it came down a river to the heart of darkness.
Well, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that because it's very much in the same spirit as Harry Potter, like you were saying. It's like the name that will not be mentioned.
Yeah. If you build up your character, the villain, especially when you know you're not going to see him until the third act, then you got to create a story.
Well, I love the ghost story inside the trailer at the very beginning when they bring him in. It's got the Harrison Ford in there and the other colonel and the general that were talking to him and stuff. And they're laying it out and they're playing the recording, and then it's like they set it up wonderfully.
Terminate the colonel's command with extreme prejudice. When I heard that dialogue, I went, "Oh, that's not good." As a kid, I said, "No, I think he's sent to kill him."
Yeah, they're not going to talk.
No, they're not going to bring him in. There's like terminate the colonel's command.
Yeah.
It was with extreme prejudice. Right, I'm like, boom. Now, originally, I didn't have this tied, but I just realized I do now have it tied. Because we're talking about great performances, particularly towards the end of the movie. Now, this particular character is in through the whole movie.
All right.
But you got to go Pacino, the devil's advocate.
Oh, yeah.
The devil.
Well, talk about monologuing.
But what a great
monologue. One of the great monologues of all time.
I mean, oh my goodness. Watch
the ultimate monologue.
The ultimate monologue. And watching Pacino, there's been a lot of good devil performance from Jack Nicholson to Robert De Niro.
But the best.
But Pacino's devil was so right.
Yeah.
Because it's the only time I watched that movie. It's some of the best acting I've seen from Keanu Reeves.
Devil's got the point.
But yeah, when he goes into that last scene, and it's just, it's...
Well, I love the whole thing, like, look but don't touch, touch but don't taste, and taste but don't swallow.
Yeah. He sets the rules in opposition.
Yeah.
And then while you're jumping from one foot to another, what does he do? He laughs his sick fucking ass off. Worship that? Never. But really the scene that really got me is the moment that Keanu meets the devil or dad. Yeah. He really just described the fact that every choice you made was your own.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not a puppet master. You pull your own string. And I never got over sitting there going, shit, he's right.
Yeah.
He did all that stuff, which also...
Free will.
It is a bitch. Brilliant. I mean, they did a great job crafting the devil. It gave the devil his due. And that's even more terrifying when you realize the choices you make are, they said the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Exactly. Yeah.
And my favorite line, and again, talk about villains getting the best line. He says, who words were these, let's say I drop the case, she gets better, and then I kill her for it. And then I hate her for it.
You actually did a good can doing that, yeah.
Thank you. I've been watching us, and no, I dropped the case. She gets better. Then I hate her for it.
Yeah.
And then, but Pacino's using his own words against him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did he? The Devil's got to make the list.
Yeah, Devil's Advocate's excellent.
Yeah. So having Pacino with and Brando's Kurt's tied
with a great performance by Charlize Theron in that, by the way.
Yes.
Early in her career.
Number 19, AI. Terminator. This is tied with HAL 9000, which is also tied with Mr. Smith.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
All AI killers.
All AI characters.
Yeah, because
it's the future.
Yeah,
the future.
I mean, so if we break it down, HAL 2001. You're right. It's not the future. It's now. This is scary. But when he says, "HAL, let me in," I cannot do that, Dave. Dude, I remember watching that, and my heart just started freaking out because I'm like, what?
Well, what's funny about that movie is I saw that movie when I was a kid. Funny story about that is that, I remember I was, probably about 6, maybe 5 or 6.
If you only had a podcast where you could tell that.
Yeah, exactly, right. But at 5 or 6, right, and I remember this like yesterday. I remember my babysitter had a high school age son. And he had all the cool albums, the Beatles, and back in those days, the albums would have like these really fold out,
Oh yeah. Oh no, you're right. Like the Star Wars will open up.
You'd open them up.
They had Enter Dragon albums too, with the pictures of the movies.
He had 2001: A Space Odyssey album and opened it up, and it had this amazing, like two picture spread of the moon and the astronauts on the moon.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I got to see this movie.
Right.
I have to see this movie. So I begged my dad to go take me to see this movie, right? You got to take me to go see 2001: A Space Odyssey. Takes me to go to 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'm bored shitless.
Right.
I'm sitting there going, there's monkeys? I thought we were going to be in space.
Right, right.
So when we did finally go to space, I'm sitting there watching the space stuff, and I'm like going, I'm really not getting this.
Yeah.
It felt weird. It felt I didn't know who to root for. There wasn't a main character to latch onto. But when HAL came on, I went. As a kid, I went, whoa, HAL, and now I was interested, and that was my favorite part of the movie because that's when I was like, oh shit, this robot man or this AI thing, he's not cooperating. He's not cooperating. It's not good. Not good. But I remember the whole movie was just bored me to death until HAL came on.
Yeah. It's funny because I didn't see 2001 until I was an adult.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie. Because they would show clips on it on television.
Right.
But they always showed the HAL stuff. And it was the HAL stuff that freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I think maybe to a point where I didn't really want to see the movie. And then, of course, I finally saw the movie, and then I went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I was much more prepared for what you're talking about as an adult than you are as a kid.
Right,
when you're a kid, no, that's right over your head.
You're just kind of like sitting there going, what am I watching,
So since we're talking about AIs and we're talking about Perfect Villain, HAL was and it was the voice, too. It was so, it wasn't sinister. So cool. It was very polite.
Yeah.
Can I do that, Dave? It was just like that was more terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like I'd rather you have a robot voice.
Because you can't reason with that guy.
No. Well,
you can't talk him out of that.
Well, speaking of what you cannot reason out of is the Terminator.
You can't reason with him.
Yeah.
He doesn't bleed.
He doesn't bleed. Doesn't hurt, and he will never stop until you're dead. First Terminator.
Talk about a gem. And
yes.
See, that was back in we talked a little bit about this in one of our forgotten films, when we were talking about Near Dark.
Right.
But Terminator was one of those movies, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't a forgotten gem.
No, but it wasn't a forgotten gem, but it was like a Near Dark. It was one of those movies that were made on no budget.
Yes.
Very little budget.
Yeah, it was like $6 million.
Yeah, they released it in the summer. I don't think they really knew what they had. I don't think they realized that movie was going to blow up the way it did.
Right.
And so they just released it. They dumped it in the summer just like they did all these other films. And man, talk about if you were lucky enough to be in the theater that weekend when you saw that film, once again, James Cameron has this knack about giving you everything you really ever wanted, but then just giving you that little cherry on top at the end.
See, I saw it. I didn't see it at the theater. You saw it at the theater.
Yeah.
Well, that
the experience was awesome because it was one of those films, and I miss those days because you don't get a lot of movies like that anymore where literally the audience are cheering. And I mean, it's you can tell the audience is totally into it,
right.
You know. And back in those days, you know, we'd have a full house, and these are movies that, like I said, they weren't like, oh, this big huge blockbusters coming out, you got to go see it. Mm-hmm. We just went to see movies because they were coming out that weekend,
right?
And then you get a big surprise like that, and you're like, "Whoa!" You know?
Yeah, basically a low budget movie.
A low budget movie
that came out of nowhere. I ended up watching it.
It was on the same level as a Halloween.
Oh yeah.
You know, it really was, or a Mad Max.
Yeah,
it was like one of those movies.
I ended up watching it on VHS.
Okay,
and that was back in the '80s when going. Part of the excitement of going to the theater, if there was another, that was my crown jewel, was going to the theater. That was my cathedral. But the second best moment of going,
when it finally came out, VHS.
When it came out, when I went to the video store.
Yeah.
Because when I went to the video store, and we then it was just like, okay, we got a video recorder. What are we going to watch and whatever? Right. And I remember I said, Terminator. Let's check it out. I remember watching that and you took
your time to choose those films.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Back in those days, you'd go in there, Blockbuster or your neighborhood video store, and you'd sit there and you'd okay, now that's the first. And there was always that one title that you had to have, or everybody had to have.
And there was always some worker in there that kind of hipped you up and it's like, Terminator. Oh yeah, you want that one,
right?
And it's usually the one you really want that sometimes wasn't in.
Everybody got it.
Yeah, so you had to wait, or you had to have somebody hook you up to say, "Yeah, this just came in," or "Just give it to me," like you're dealing drugs or something like that. Watched it, just blew my mind because it was just so great, and it was also perfect vehicle for Schwarzenegger, for him to literally just be Schwarzenegger. And intimidating and imposing, which he was.
Now, would you put T2 up there with the Robert Patrick Terminator, the T-1000?
You could. I mean, you very well could. I mean, you could. I mean, because...
Was it T-1000?
No, it was the T-1000. Yeah. And which is even more terrifying in the more of a technical way because it's much more sophisticated. And it was also brilliant because... You can still bring back Schwarzenegger in T2 and make him the hero.
Right.
But there was something about that first movie where he was the villain and he was killing people. And that shot where he comes in and he shoots up all the cops and I'll be back. I'll be back. Yeah. Again, another great line. It's just like, and then he comes back.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was at that point, everybody was saying, I'll be back. So,
right.
So, and then, if you go Terminator, you go HAL, you go Terminator, you got to go Matrix. And Mr. Smith, I mean, you go Weaving, Mr. Anderson, the way he talked, the way...
Once again, it was more of that calming, very matter-of-fact kind of way.
Yeah, he was the first AI that can do kung fu in a suit and sunglasses.
And looked cool doing it.
And he looked really good. So, all three, and you throw in T-1000 as well. So they're all your AI Terminator will kill you. So they share number 19.
Right.
Now, number 18, I will include Jaws.
Okay.
I hope you're happy.
I'm happy to a certain extent, even though I think it should be higher on that list, but
it made the
I'm not
list.
Mad at you.
It made the 20.
Okay.
And again, I still got a lot of lists to go.
Okay.
So Jaws, which his name was Bruce. Jaws was intimidating mainly because most of the movie you didn't even see him.
Right.
But when you saw him, you fucking jumped. Because, they say, oh, the shark looks fake. And I said...
It never looked fake to me.
It never looked fake because, honestly, I've never seen an actual shark jump up at me. And I feel like if I did, it would look just like Jaws.
I remember somebody said, Spielberg should go back and do like a Lucas and CG to Shark. And
Absolutely not.
Don't you dare do that. And anybody that tries or even suggests to remake this movie should be taken out back and shot.
Yes.
Because nobody should touch Jaws.
And the companion with Jaws is John Williams' music.
Yeah.
It was equally terrifying.
Well, it made the film.
It did.
You didn't see the shark until the third act of the film.
No, but you heard him because you heard the music. No, it was great. It was great. And I've learned to really appreciate it as I gotten older because I always felt the second half was much more of an adventure, more so than the first half. But then I just enjoyed those
the first half's a horror film.
It's a horror film.
The second half is more of an adventure
film that has horror in it.
Right.
But one of the best lines in there is, you're going to need a bigger boat. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Bruce would have said that if he could.
I'm sure. Okay,
which was named after his lawyer, I guess. Spielberg's lawyer is named Bruce.
Well, he's a shark, right?
Yeah. Which I always wondered, and maybe this is the case, maybe it's just a coincidence. Al Ruddy's lawyer was named Bruce.
Oh.
I wonder if they had the same lawyer.
Maybe we'll never know.
Maybe.
We'll never know. Okay, so Jaws is tied with number 18 is tied with The Shape, Michael Myers.
Okay.
The very first Halloween. You're talking about two entities, Jaws, Michael Myers, and even the Terminator, that just kept coming. Halloween was an incredible movie talk about creating a villain that has no dialogue.
Yeah.
In the whole movie. Has no dialogue.
But presence. He had presence.
He had presence. And he had stories. Number 17 is Norma Desmond. And Phyllis Dietrichson. They're tied.
Oh, how many ties have you got on this list, Greg?
You know what? It's my list. I got some ties.
Okay. All right.
But there's a connection.
Okay. What's okay?
They both are movies from Billy Wilder.
Okay.
Phyllis Dietrichson, Double Indemnity. The first real femme fatale.
Right.
Great role. And then Norma Desmond. Come on. Gloria Swanson, Sunset Boulevard. Oh, my goodness. We got to add some black and white film noir.
Well, of course. Yeah. I'm ready for my close-up.
There you go. Okay, so they're oh, but you know what?
Now, my question to you is, okay, I get the Barbara Stanwyck from Double Indemnity, but which came first, Double Indemnity or Out of the Past?
I think Double Indemnity came first.
Because Jane Greer, man.
Jane Greer is good.
That's a pretty evil chick.
She is a very evil chick. But, I mean, my list could only hold so much. And this is the list that I'm putting Nurse Hatchet on.
Ah.
So that's already 3.
Okay.
So
can't have a 4-way tie. That'd be ridiculous.
You want to put up, okay, Pam Grier Out of the Past. There you go.
Pam Grier?
I'm tired.
That's a different movie.
So Jane Greer, you got Nurse Hatchet, you got Phyllis and Norma Desmond. So there you go. You got 4 strong women.
Yeah.
They're number 17.
4 strong, evil women.
Exactly. Number 16.
Now, wait. Let's not glance right over the femme fatale thing, because
go for it.
For the femme fatales, I always think it's interesting because their power. Where would you say their power would lie? In sex.
Sex.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so simple, aren't we?
Yep.
As men.
Yep.
We can be suckers for just the most primal things.
Well, but it was also what was great about the femme fatale, and what was also great about the film noir era was strong women.
Yeah.
Strong women characters. Women that took power from men. Women that were known as Black Widows.
Used men.
Well, exactly.
To achieve their goal.
Hence the Black Widow aspect to it.
Right.
Yeah, they would manipulate us because they also knew how gullible we were and how sex-drive we were.
So easy.
Aren't we? We're totally easy. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, you flash some, but it was also great writing in the way it was double entendre.
Yeah.
I mean, the scene with Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray,
right,
and just the whole thing about the necklace on the ankle and the dialogue itself.
Well, it's like, how fast was I going?
Exactly. It was like, and as a kid, I knew they were talking about something else. They're talking about something else.
Well, I mean, if you go there, for me too, another great one was Kathleen Turner in Body Heat.
But that stems from like your Double Indemnity.
Right,
that stems from the Postman Always
Ring Twice. A more modern day version of that.
Exactly. That's more your neo-noir.
Yeah.
And then again, remember what I said about how the villains have the best dialogue.
Right.
Norma Desmond, I'm ready for my close-up.
Right, of course, yeah.
Or I heard you're Norma Desmond. I heard you were big. I am big. The pictures that got smaller. Yeah. I mean, come on. That was great. So that they're all.
I always wanted a pool.
Yes. See? And I will place Nurse Hatchet even though she's a strong villain, which we all hate. So number 16, a couple Kubrick favorites. Alex from A Clockwork Orange.
Right.
And Nicholson, Jack Torrance. Come on, The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining. It's got to be one of the all-time great villains.
Yes.
I mean, Jack Nicholson is so fucking scary in that movie.
It was a time when I think that movie single-handedly made him Jack. Mm-hmm. Here's Johnny. You know, I remember watching that as the trailer to The Shining.
Right. So creepy.
On TV.
Just the trailer was creepy because I remember that silhouette shot of him walking across the snow with the axe.
Yes, and he was hunched over.
Yeah.
And he had the long, lanky hair and the axe. That stayed with
That was creepy.
Chasing a child through the snow.
A child. And your own child, as a matter of fact. But that one. And, you know, I think a lot of that stems from, you know, the whole thing of, you know, abuse when you're a kid or something like that. You know, it's just that whole primal fear. Once again, I think, you know, when you go to that primal thing where it's just like, you know, it gets you at a deeper level than just you know, a bad guy.
Well, what was really interesting was I didn't realize at the time that the story was about abuse.
Right.
Because they even talk about it in the film, you know, how he pulled the kid's arm from his socket.
Yeah.
And it's subtle, but it's just like, but I guess it's not that subtle. He
even says, you know, one silly mistake. You know, it's like
he was drinking.
Yeah.
And he described it. He just knocked over the books all over the table. And just grabbed them, and he had a line where he said, "I used a little bit too much." Elbow power or something. It was a line he said that was just like that stood out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he was great in it.
Yeah.
He was Jack in that.
He was terrifying.
Yes, that whole movie is terrifying. The way it's shot, was terrifying.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the scene. I mean, the scene we talked about with the axe and following him through the maze and everything is brilliant. Mm-hmm. I have to say, out of the whole film, the moment when she's reading the script.
Oh, yeah, the book.
The book, yeah.
Yes.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah.
Over and over and over.
And in different
forms,
yeah.
formats. Yeah.
That was what he was doing.
And you know what hit me at that moment? Mm-hmm. Some poor PA had to sit and type all those pages. I think that was more horrifying than the fact that Kubrick had some poor PA.
That's so
true. Because there was countless of pages she was going through.
And the camera kept
there. The camera kept on.
More.
And we didn't have copy machines back then like we do now. I mean, they were, and that's another thing. They weren't just copying the pages over and over and over.
Oh, no.
Because they were different formats.
They were formats.
Yes,
and
yes.
they made a point. That's what was the most crazy thing.
Yes.
Half the time I was like, how'd you get in that format?
Yeah.
It was it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was insane.
So what Kubrick put that poor PA through, that was what was really horrifying.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, those are kind of the tie. But, you know, The Shining for me is really even more so than Clockwork Orange. But
well, you know, for me, The Clockwork Orange is interesting because that character is the most interesting in the first hour. The second hour, you know, when they acclimate him to civilization or whatever, you know, they civilize him.
Which is ironic because in a lot of ways that was even more terrifying.
Yeah, more terrifying. Right? Yeah.
But you're right. Now,
And that film went places. I mean, when I was young, I saw this film. I don't think you could go there today.
No.
I don't think you could show the stuff that they showed in that movie.
No. There's a lot of things you probably couldn't show.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's 16. Number 15. Okay, there's gonna be a few ties, so just deal with it. Okay.
Wow. So you really cheated. So it wasn't a 20 top list. It's more like a 50 top list.
No, they're ties.
Okay, all right.
They're literally ties. I just couldn't decide.
All right.
So. Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah,
plain film. Mm-hmm. What a villain. Mm-hmm. And that's tied with Gary Oldman's Dracula. I mean, come on, you gotta have Dracula on there. I mean, come on. That laughter. Oh my goodness, how freaking awesome was that?
Oh, what's the line? It's it's the famous line. It's the famous the Dracula line. About what music they make.
Listen to the children of the night. What sweet music they make.
Right.
He improvised the sweet. That was not in there. No, that movie went from a what the fuck am I watching to this is genius.
The most brilliant, genius movie,
including ever. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
because before
I had to say I did not like Keanu Reeves.
He was miscast. Yeah. We all know it. Yeah. But now he's part of the tapestry.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Gary Oldman and
even Anthony Hopkins is a little bit over the top on that one, where he's sniffing Winona Ryder's hair.
Well, he was still Hannibal. There were moments I'm like, he's still doing Hannibal.
And it's got to be one of the most tasteful bestiality movies I've ever seen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But the most terrifying thing about Dracula, Gary Oldman's performance, was his hair. That hair just freaked me out. I was terrified. You
got to give it for the costume designer and the set designer.
The
look of that movie is just amazing.
And one of the best lines in There Will Be Blood is, "I will drink your milkshake." That was the line. That's it. That's such an evil line. I love it. And I also love the fact, again, why he's such a great villain, because he genuinely despises people.
Yeah.
He hates people.
And I have to say, for me, that movie's interesting because I was not a fan of that film.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've only seen it once, and I never really cared to see it again.
Right.
But the one thing that made that film special for me was that performance.
Absolutely.
And it really is that. It's the film.
Yeah.
And who played the young kid? Paul, was it?
Paul Dino.
Paul Dino did an amazing job in that film.
Another type of film.
And he always does a great job in anything he does,
Mm-hmm. Right.
But really, the one thing I took away from that film was his performance, which was just... And that's what you can say about Daniel Day-Lewis. No matter what you think about the movie, he's going to be amazing.
See, you like the tie. These are a couple of ties that you're going to like.
Yeah.
But you're going to kind of understand.
I'm sure this is on your list. I don't want to get ahead of you, but Gangs of New York is another one where he's amazing.
I'm
not a fan of the movie, but he is the reason why you watch that film.
With Bill the Butcher.
Bill the Butcher.
He is literally right there with Dracula and Plainville. So there you go. It's a three-way tie.
Yeah.
You've got Gangs of New York, There Will Be Blood, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
And you're right. All of these performers commit to their character's villainy.
And I will say this, and I don't know if this is on your list, but I will give it an honorable mention. Gary Oldman in True Romance.
Nice.
One of the great all-time. And he's only in that movie, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most.
That's an honorable mention. That's not on the list.
Yeah, and it's one of the most memorable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and once again, it's another reason to see that movie.
It's literally one of the best parts of the movie. Yeah. It really is. True Romance is a fun movie.
It's a fun movie, but that
performance,
and
is
that scene with Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper.
Yes,
those are the two scenes you watch that film for.
Those are the scenes that you would take the monologues.
Yeah.
And you do an acting class.
Yeah. But which you're an idiot to do because you'll never better that.
Yeah. This is true. Okay. So that was 15. Number 14, another tie. You got to have some Nazis. You really can't do a villain and a story justice if you don't include some Nazis. And this was a tough one.
Nazis are one of the all-time great villains of.
But number 14, Colonel Hans Landa from Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah.
And Amon Goth from Schindler's List.
Right. Now, who's more evil?
Okay. This is the reason why this is a tie.
Right.
I feel like Hans Landa is more evil in that first 10 minutes. That opening tells you everything you need to know about that character.
Right.
His intelligence, his cunning, his patience, and his what's the word? His interrogating tactics. You know, he knows,
and the joy he takes in it.
Oh, there's definitely a glee
because he knows what he's going to do before he even walks into that room.
Oh, he's already got the guy dead bang.
Yeah, I bet he knows he's going to kill the people in the room. He knows everything he's going to do.
Yes,
but he's just enjoying the moment.
Oh, with the pipe and the whole presentation, it is one of Tarantino's best opening of a character. As the story goes on, Landa, for me, becomes less terrifying. So by the time you get to the end, you like the character, but he was never more terrifying than that first 10 minutes, where Race, how do you say it? Is it Ray Fiennes or?
Ray Fiennes.
Okay. His Amon Goth gets more terrifying in Schindler's List as he goes on.
Well, for me, he's just one cold-blooded motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the most heinous.
It gets
and there's
worse.
nothing redeemable about this man whatsoever.
At least Hans, there's something likable, strangely enough, about Landa.
I mean, it's the whole theater of it, right?
The theater, and he has a sense of humor.
Yeah. Whereas this other,
nothing.
This character, you can tell, he's devoid of any emotional attachment to anything.
Yeah, it puts Ray Fiennes on the map.
Yeah.
When I saw that movie, he was so chilling.
Yeah.
So you kind of you needed to get both of them on there.
And I think what's really terrifying about that, though, is there's people like that out there in the world.
Yep.
That has absolutely no empathy or sympathy at all.
No redeeming qualities.
Yeah, no.
So both of them tie for number 14. Okay, you'll like this one. Number 13, another tie. You got to go with Danny DeVito. I'm not Danny DeVito.
Another penguin, Greg?
Tired. I'm reading the character's name, but it's Tommy DeVito from Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Max Cady in Cape Fear. So you're getting your De Niro and your Pesci, and this was tough because both of them are psychopath,
right?
But they're different psychopath, And Cape Fear, the remake, come out, wherever you are, counselor. I mean, that scene where he has Lewis, what's her name?
Juliette Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the theater was terrifying. It was,
I understand that was all improvisation from his part.
Yeah.
She didn't know that he was going to do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah,
it's like whoa!
It's what out of all the scenes that was the most terrifying,
most creepy of
all. It was the most creepy of them all. Yeah. And come on,
I just love the. You my friend?
Yeah.
Are you my friend?
Are you my friend?
Because I only tell my comings and goings with my friends.
Yeah. No,
I mean, talk about some great lines. If you ever see the remake of Cape Fear with him and Nick Nolte, it's so many great lines.
And Nick Nolte's a big guy.
Oh,
so
he's probably twice as big as De Niro in real life.
But in that movie, De Niro is terrifying. He makes Nick Nolte look small in that entire movie.
Well, just the opening, right? When he's doing like the pull-ups and he's got the tattoos
and the music.
Well, I love what Robert Mitchum says later on in the film. Because I don't know whether the
look at him or
read him.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was great. And then of course, Tommy in Goodfellas. I mean, that scene where he tells the joke, and what was terrifying about that scene is his attention went right to Henry.
Right.
So if he's turning on, Ray Liotta,
who's have been friends. They've been friends.
He's the co-star in the movie.
Yeah.
Where you think,
and you don't, to show you how chilling and crazy this motherfucker is.
Yeah.
They've been friends throughout the whole movie.
Yes.
And you still think he could turn on him now.
No.
Yeah.
He really thought he was turning on him.
Yeah.
Which meant that this guy could pull out a gun and shoot you.
Yeah.
I mean.
And you would expect it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny because I remember watching that movie. I saw that movie literally about 8 times when it came out of the theater. And I just remembered that moment where everybody started laughing, and there was something in that scene right before it it started to be tense, where you felt something wrong. You felt like, and then the moment was like, you're a funny guy.
That scene is so real, but you know why I think it's filmed, that scene is so real? I mean, you probably know this already, but the reason why that scene is so real is that was improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Pesci told Martin Scorsese that he saw something similar to this by some real mobsters in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, let me try something. And just roll the camera and let's see what happens. Ray Liotta had no idea what he was going to do. So that reaction that Ray Liotta has is real.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think that's one of the reasons why that scene works so well, is that nobody kind of knew what was going to happen next.
Yep. Yeah, no, and if we're following Henry's point of view, we had that same reaction.
Right.
It was kind of like, no, it was a joke. No, Anthony, he's a big boy. What do you mean? What am I, funny? Funny like how? Like I'm a clown? I'm here to entertain you? What the fuck's so funny about me? Seriously, it was just like, what? I love the, come and get the fuck out of here. I almost had him. I mean, that's, dude, to this day, that is one of the all-time, and it's the scene that got him the Oscar.
Right.
So you got two great scenes. Now, number 12. I was going to put this as a tie, but this woman pretty much stands alone because it's Alex Forrest, played by Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction.
Every man's nightmare.
Hell yeah. This is what happens when you cheat on your wife. And you know they say, don't fuck crazy.
Yeah.
That bitch is crazy. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
I will not be ignored, Dan.
That could be the most chilling line ever. I won't be. The way she delivers it. You know she ain't playing. She is not playing.
Something should have told him the way she was sitting when they were at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And that wild, crazy 80s hair and the way she was looking. I'm like, dude, get out now.
And what's crazy about that movie, and what I always like, because Anne Archer was, especially back then, was a stunningly beautiful woman.
Right.
And that's his wife. And you're going, dude, I mean, Glenn Close was okay, but she was no Anne Archer.
No.
So you're like going.
He wanted Strange.
Yeah, he wanted Strange.
And he got it.
He got Strange,
He wanted Strange, he got it. I'll never forget it. I remember the divorce rate, like, I think when that movie came up, it was just kind of like skyrocket. It was just kind of like, and I think most guys really thought twice before they had an affair.
What's great about that movie, too, and another little tidbit is that's not the original ending. It's the ending that they have where he kills Glenn Close at the end in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, she kills herself. Remember when he attacks her in her apartment, and he stops himself and he leaves?
Right.
She slits her own throat. And she leaves a letter saying, implying that he's the one that killed her. He was the
one that framed it.
Yeah, he's the one that killed her.
Uh-huh.
So the cops arrest him, and it's his wife who finds a recording of Glenn Close saying that she's going to do this. And at the very end, she takes the recording to the police.
This is a case where I think the original ending works, and the reason I tell you why is because it was the 80s. In the 80s, you kind of wanted her to come back from that bathtub. And then what it did is it gave Anne Archer was the one that killed Glenn Close.
Right.
So it gave her some urgency because she did boil her bunny.
Right. Yeah.
She's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I get.
Well, I don't think that was the original ending. That was the reshoot ending.
The ending they use in the movie. I'm not saying, but I'm saying the ending that they use in the film.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is the right ending.
Exactly. I agree 100%. That's one of the few times where the studio notes actually were better.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. So she's number 12. I was going to tie her in with Sharon Stone, Basic Instinct, but because she deserved to
I think it's interesting that both of these women were aiming for Michael Douglas.
Something about Michael Douglas.
Something about Michael Douglas attracted some crazy women.
Yeah. Now, did I mention? I did mention Misery, right?
Yes, you did.
Is that's on the list?
It's on the list.
Okay, cool.
That's way back there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is where the list really gets interesting.
Okay.
So we're hitting to the top 11. So we're about ready to go down to the top 10. But this is the 11. This was one of the hardest choice that I had to figure out. So number 11, Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Javier Bardem has never been more terrifying. I mean,
or had the worst haircut ever.
That's what was terrifying. He walked around with that
damn haircut,
with that damn haircut, and that can, that gas gun, or that what?
That was the creepiest part when he said, "Stand right there."
Oh,
and the guy did it. He's just because he's like dumbfounded about the whole thing, wondering where's this going. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he found out too late.
Well, yeah. He was an idiot. That guy said, "No, I'm not. I'm moving.
I'm moving. I'm moving.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I'm weaving."
The best scene in the whole movie is when he tells the grocery store owner,
call it.
Yeah, call it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what to call it for. It was just that whole dialogue was excellent.
Yeah.
The way that he called him friendo.
Yeah.
And says right now. You could stand to lose. It's everything. And then when he calls it and it comes up in his favor, he turns around and he says, "No, you want to keep that coin. That's your lucky coin." And then he walks out. After he says it, he gives the guy a look, but it was like, he does a head nod before he walks. I was just like, the most terrifying thing seen in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Excellent. He won the Academy Award. He was excellent. Okay. But yet, that didn't make the top 10. Okay. It kept coming in and out. Now, here's my top 10. Okay, top 10.
Drum roll, please.
You'll be happy there's only one tie in the top 10.
Oh, one tie, okay.
Okay, and this is number 10. And they're both cops. I got to go with one, Alonzo, from Denzel Washington, Training Day.
Can't congregate nothing on me.
Come on. I mean, Training Day.
My man.
King Kong got shit on me.
Oh, he was great in that.
He was excellent. It was finally too, because at that time, Denzel needed to win the Academy Award for Best Lead Actor, not Supporting Actor. Right. And I remember thinking, he's always kind of playing the same. Denzel's great no matter what he plays, but rarely does he ever play a villain. And then that movie dropped, Training Day.
And one of the all-time great villains.
Oh, it was all-time great villain. But
Eva Mendes, I remember her first introduction.
There you go. Yeah,
Alonzo had great taste.
You remember that there was they did a spoof off of Training Day and Dave Chappelle when he said, "You know what you had?" And he was talking about the drug that Ethan Hawke had, and then there was like names that he was calling the drug.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But what was really funny about that was what's his name playing the Denzel character. Help me out here.
No, wasn't it Dave Chappelle?
No, Dave Chappelle was the other guy.
Oh, who was playing?
It was the guy from Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady is playing. Wayne Brady is playing a Denzel character.
The Denzel character, because Wayne Brady was always known as the good,
very nice guy,
very nice black guy, the good guy. He was harmless. Boy, did
Wayne Brady gonna have to kill a bitch?
I mean, you're so right. That was so funny. Wayne Brady, that was excellent.
Oh my God.
That's when you know your movie did something right. When they spoof it like that.
Yeah.
Wayne Brady as Denzel in Training Day. Oh my goodness. Now that ties with another famous cop, bad cop, which is Stanfield, Gary Oldman in The Professional.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look, when The Professional came out, I remember I was a little disappointed because I was comparing it to La Femme Nikita.
Yeah.
But Gary Oldman's performance stood out to me.
Once again, that's one of those performances that just is the reason why you see the movie.
But it has gotten better with time. And you remember when I said all the villains get all the best line?
Mm-hmm. He had a lot of them in that movie.
Oh, you don't like Mozart.
I like the quiet little moments.
Yeah. I mean, every choice, you talk about over the top, every choice Gary Oldman plays down the
Everyone.
What is it? Is it give me everyone? What? Everyone.
Once again,
that is great.
That's an improv moment.
Mm-hmm.
He was improving that. He was just giving very different takes, and that was one of the takes that he just went off.
It was perfect.
And they kept it.
There was not one bad choice. Yeah. When they find the drugs in the apartment, bingo! It was just like, it was just everything. It was just, I like the quiet moments.
Yeah.
It's like insects in the grass. Where is this? I don't even, to this day, I still don't know what he takes. But there's a shot where
he takes I guess it's speed.
He takes something. I'm
guessing it's speed.
But the camera's above him and his body twists stuff and he makes
that.
Fucking love it.
Yeah.
So Gary Oldman, Denzel Washington, made it to number 10. Number 9, Antonio Salieri. F. Murray Abrams gives an incredible performance as the king of mediocrity.
Well, that's why he won the Oscar.
The fact that what I love about that character is so much of that character was he wanted to be a genius. He wanted to be a musical genius that he prayed to God to give him that, and instead he gives it to a buffoon like Amadeus Mozart. He recognized that Mozart was better. That scene where he composed the music, so when the king meets Mozart, he can play it for him. And then Mozart says, "Oh no, I already remember. I heard it. I already know. Oh, show us." And he does it. He just kind of goes, just kind of.
I added a little something.
And he adds something, and he makes it 10 times better. And F. Murray Abrams' reaction to that, the disgust of that. And then the ending where he anoints you. I forget, what did he say? I forgive you?
I anoint you as...
I anoint you. What was the line?
Oh, I'm the patron saint of mediocrity or something like that. Yeah. It's been a while. Something like that.
No, excellent. So he's definitely there. So that was number 9. Number 8. Now, as much as you mentioned, I had to get a Western in. And as much as you mentioned Angel Eyes, and you're right, he's the bad out of the bad. And I thought about making it a tie, but this man stands alone in the Western. It's Frank. Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Like, he kills a 6-year-old kid.
He kills a whole fucking family.
Yeah.
And he comes out as Henry Fonda with that incredible music.
Yeah.
And then the flashback with what he did to Bronson's brother with the harmonica. Oh, Henry Fonda was it was Henry Fonda at the time. I think there was
Would you say Once Upon a Time in the West is the greatest Western ever made?
Yes.
I would agree.
Yes, which is ironic because I love all of Sergio Leone's.
I love The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
That's my second favorite Western. Yeah. But there was something about Leone that kept getting bigger and better with the Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more. It started to get bigger, and then it got really big with The Good and Bad, the Ugly. But eventually, it got so big that he didn't even need Clint Eastwood. No. And who would have thought that would have been his masterpiece?
Right.
The music score in that, but it was Henry Fonda. There was that scene where he was with what was the actress name?
Claudia Cardinale.
Yes, and he's talking about murdering her husband while he's seducing her.
Yeah,
that's some evil shit.
Yeah.
And another great.
And then he talks to her while he's seducing her. He's talking to her about, should I kill you?
Yeah. That's right.
Tough decision.
I can kill you or I can marry you.
Yeah.
And then another powerful line that he has, which I thought was great, was when he was sitting behind the desk, and the person he was working for says, "How's it feel?" And he was holding up the pen, and he says, holding the pen, he says, "It feels like a gun, but a lot more powerful."
Yeah.
Great line.
Great
villain. So Frank is number 8.
Okay. I'm not mad at you for that.
My list is getting good. You're liking the list.
Yeah, I'm liking the list.
Number 7, you got to go with the ultimate mama's boy, Norman Bates.
Norman Bates, yeah.
The ultimate cross-dressing villain.
Well, remember we met the writer to that movie, and he made a comment about, all that beauty lost.
Oh yeah,
when he kills Janet Leigh, and he has a lot of truth to that, because I would equivalent that with another movie that we talked about earlier, which was The Four Musketeers, and that was Faye Dunaway. For me, is one of the worst villains ever because she killed Raquel Welch, which was one of the most beautiful women on the planet at the time, and she was playing such a sweetheart, and it's a comedy. The Four Musketeers is a comedy, and she strangles her in the most horrific way.
Oh yeah,
in that movie, and I'm like, oh my God, but it devastated me.
Well, but it's movies like that that brought in the twist.
Exactly.
Because Psycho was the first one to kill off one of its lead stars
halfway through the
film. And what they did that was so smart, because they set up Norman's mom, demanding mom, to the point where you heard the voice.
Right.
To the point where that door opens, and this was something as a kid, it still haunts me, that I'm watching this movie and the door opens, and for that first time I'm going, oh shit. Oh, no, this is bad. And I didn't know what was going to happen until it happened, but I knew something bad was going to happen, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, Hitchcock actually got an actual woman because of the shape of the woman.
Right.
She was in silhouette. Right. But you still bought that it was that until, he made you empathize with Norman, because what does Norman do when he sees it? He cleans up. So he's cleaning up after Mama. So incredible job where you're like, you don't want him to get caught.
Yeah.
You don't want him because you don't.
What was that scene when he tries to get rid of the car?
And it stops.
And it stops
midway?
From sinking. Yeah. He drives into the swamp and it starts to sink and it stops for
a
second.
And as the audience, we're like, is it going to sink? And come on. Yeah. You wanted it to go. You wanted it to sink.
Yeah.
Same here.
Hitchcock.
That's great, right?
Brilliant. That's why it makes him such a great director.
And also, you got movies that kind of literally borrow, if not rip off, but does it successfully in Dressed to Kill.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that was
Brian De Palma was one of the all-time great Hitchcockian.
I mean,
inspired by Hitchcock filmmakers.
Dude, I remember seeing Dressed to Kill with my mom and my sister, and we saw that opening.
Michael Caine was so creepy in that film.
And they had the sex scene.
Yeah.
And my mom took me and my sister out.
Of course, she takes you out during the sex scene.
Oh,
but
yeah.
the murder? You're okay with the murder?
No. She didn't know about it.
Oh, okay.
But she just thought the whole movie was like that. So she complained to the usher and saying, this is a filthy movie. Is there any more sex scenes? I'm bringing my kids. The usher basically could have said it's a rated R movie.
Right.
But then she asked him, is there any more sex scenes or filth in this movie? And the usher, I remember it clearly because I was a kid, and the usher went, "No, ma'am.
You'll not see any more sex in this film
after this scene." So she takes me back in there.
Of course, for you to see all the horrific murders.
And the elevator scene happens. Yeah. I'm freaking out. I'm screaming. And then on top, but my mom loving it now. The violence, the graphic violence, sure. Sex, no. And then on top of that, what was worse was my mom was a nurse. So she had those shoes. And we had the shoes. And we also had the mirror that opened.
Right. Oh, everybody did, right?
So I scared my sister crazy, but I couldn't sleep that night. But that all leads back to Psycho. So Hitchcock, thank you for giving us Norman Bates. Number 6, Hans Gruber. Die Hard. Alan Rickman gives the incredible performance. It puts him on the map. And he is, again, like we talked about before, he's the perfect villain for John McClane, or Bruce Willis, John McClane. He is dapper, he's intelligent, he's sophisticated, and he's cunning.
And he's got some great lines.
It's
Christmas, Theo.
Yeah.
It's time for miracles.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was just like, he had one other line too, but there was a couple of moments where he likes the suit. Do you remember the suit?
I really love when he plays an American. When he does the American accent.
Yeah, it was. Was it Bill Clay?
Yeah,
it was like the worst. That was the best scene.
You're one of them.
It was so bad. That was one of the best moments. And I thought it was great. Yeah, I thought what was great writing was the fact that you didn't make Willis an idiot. It's like, what? I didn't see you coming a mile away.
That's great.
It was, look, Hans Gruber was, and then it turned out that in the end he was a bank robber, basically. And he said, and he makes a line, "Now that I'm moving up to kidnapping, you should be more polite, Ms. McClane." Great lines. Hans Gruber, number 6. Top 5. We're finishing off the list.
Drum roll, please. Here we go.
Because I can't hit the table.
Yeah.
Number 5. We mentioned his name a few times. We'll mention it again. Brian Cox and Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
And then I have to say them both because they both play Hannibal, like I mentioned with Maz, so terrifyingly different, but effective.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them. And you created a great character when it's used in campaign speeches. That's all I gotta say.
That's all right.
When all of a sudden today you're using him as campaign.
He's a great man.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter. He'll love to have you for dinner. There you go. Number 4, Tony Montana, Al Pacino, and Scarface.
You're never going to see a bad guy like me ever again.
Say goodbye to the bad guy. What? Okay, this is how great Pacino is. But really, when you see him in The Godfather, I remember when I heard he was doing another gangster film, and I remember saying to myself, "There's no way he could top The Godfather. No way. Like he could do it, but there's no way." That he's going to make me believe he's anybody other than Michael Corleone.
Right.
Until I saw the opening of Scarface.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Melted into that character. I did not see Pacino at all.
I find it insane how many critics hated that movie when it came out.
Yeah, and
I remember that film. I saw that film in the theater. When it came out, and I remember it was the coolest because that came out around Christmas, and I remember
it was a great
Christmas movie, right?
Yeah, I love it.
And I remember, how the theaters always had those great large, lifelike stands, of the promoting the poster and stuff like that, But it was him holding the machine gun.
Oh yeah,
and you could stand like next to it, I just remember seeing that, and it's like it was the coolest thing ever. I loved that movie. I couldn't figure out why everybody was hating on it so much.
I remember Siskel and Ebert had the biggest divide over that film.
Well, I think Siskel was the only one that liked it.
No, Ebert.
Ebert was the one that liked it.
It was the first time I've seen a rating where Ebert gave it 4 stars.
4 stars, right.
And Siskel gave it 1 star.
Yeah, hated it.
Hated it. Hated it. I remember my cousins went and saw that movie at the theater, and all they could talk about was the ending.
The ending was one of the greatest endings still to this day.
Yeah, and what makes Tony an interesting, fascinating villain but he's also one that could fall into anti-hero.
Yes.
Because his code is what he goes by. What does he say? He's got his word and his balls. He don't break it for nobody.
Yeah.
You love that shit.
Yeah.
When his friend is when they with that bathroom scene and he's seeing his friend being chainsawed and all that stuff, he's still talking shit.
Yeah.
He's still talking shit. So it's like, and then when he comes to the end with say hello to my little friend.
Yeah.
Boom.
The tenaciousness of this guy.
At some point you are thinking he might win.
Well, there's a point in that film when he's blowing everybody down. You're going, he might just make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you see the assassin behind him like, no, you don't.
Nah.
And it's the most quotable lines in the movie. Rappers use Tony Montana for art and wall posters, and people dress like they like the, what's he say? And this is also another reason why we love villains. He basically breaks it down to Manny when he says, first you got to get the money. Yeah. Then you get the money, you get the power. Once you get the power, then you get the ladies. Yeah. So it's just like, boom. And it's a
lot of truth to that.
And it's a rag to riches type of story that's relatable.
Right.
So now, would you call Scarface an anti-drug movie?
In a way, I can see the argument. Yeah,
you know what the argument is? Never get high on your own supply.
On your own supply, exactly. Because that scene when he's got the mound of, he's got like the mound of cocaine on his desk, and he just like sinks his head into it. Oh. It's so ridiculous, but so effective at the same time. You're going, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
That's the only way you can figure that the guy like survived 20 rounds in his body before he gets taken out.
It's brilliant. It's over the top. It all works. It's an
I
incredible
love
movie.
it. And how anybody could not like that movie? He needs to be,
And that's the reason why it's number 4 on my list.
Great choice.
What's number 3? Joker. Heath Ledger.
Joker.
Yeah, I know. Okay, you got nervous.
Right. I was already saying.
No.
Right, yeah.
The Joker. No, in The Dark Knight. And you're so right. The fact that Christopher Nolan does not give him any kind of pass whatsoever. First of all, that bank robbery opener. You remember when we went to see Iron Legend?
And they showed the first like 8
minutes of the bank robbery scene?
in IMAX.
In IMAX, we went and saw that blown away.
Could have left the movie theater at that point.
I wanted to leave the movie theater. I felt bad because I couldn't remember anything outside that.
Yeah, the Will Smith movie. We weren't even talking about that at the end of the day. We were like still talking about the first.
You would go back and watch the movie so you could see that opening again.
Yeah,
and this was back in the time where you just couldn't watch trailers on like on YouTube and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. No. That opening, and those lines, that doesn't kill you, make you stranger.
Yeah.
You know? And then he has another great opening when he comes into the kitchen, and I thought my jokes were bad. The way he played Joker was just fantastic. Talk about it, and again, another actor like Pacino that so melted into the character. You did not see Heath Ledger.
You never see Heath Ledger in that film. I mean, of course, he's got the makeup, but you still don't recognize
nothing.
There's no Heath Ledgerisms in that performance at all.
And I remember when I heard the casting of Heath Ledger playing the Joker, I thought that was brilliant, but it got a lot of backlash. Because
everybody's so used to Jack Nicholson and.
Yeah, and I also think they just thought he was just too handsome.
Right.
And it was just too good. He's more a leading man than. But I said, oh. But even I didn't realize how powerful he was. And then the interrogation scene with him and Batman.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was just like, you complete me, Awesome. Number 2, and this is by far what I feel like probably the greatest bad guy around. It's Darth Vader, especially from The Empire Strikes Back.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the line. Look, if Vader was already a bad guy for certain in Star Wars, but the choice that Lucas made by making him Luke's daddy. Woo! And it was the line that got me. This was the first time this ever happened when I saw, because I was a big fan of Star Wars, saw Empire. But when Luke shows up and he hears the breathing and he looks and he sees the silhouette of Vader, and before he sees him, he hears, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet," with that James Earl Jones voice.
He wasn't joking.
I said, he's gonna lose.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Not only did he lose, but he lost his hand too. Messed me up between losing his hand and finding out that he's half black. So Darth Vader is number 2. Number 1, we're talking darkness. We're coming with The Godfather, Michael Corleone. Michael Corleone.
Now,
one of the greatest villains of all time.
You would call him a villain, huh?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's easy to look at Michael and feels he's justified
misunderstood
in the first film.
Yeah.
In the first film. Yeah, because, he had to do what he had to do because his family was going to be wiped out by the Five family. Totally. Michael changes from not only from what he was in the beginning as a soldier boy all the way until finally becoming the new Don at the end of the movie, but he really changes in Godfather Part 2.
Well, for sure. In Godfather 2, I would say in Godfather Part 2, he does.
He's full-fledged.
He crosses the line when he kills his own brother.
He kills Fredo.
Yeah.
He kills Fredo. And what's so incredible about the movie was I always thought that Godfather 1 and 2 both came from the book. And then I found out Coppola mentioned that he had to create Godfather 2 from scratch.
Wow.
And the reason I thought it came from the book because tone-wise, they were so perfectly even.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it was the only sequel that was just as good as the original, if not even better for a lot of people. But there's a scene in Godfather 1 where he tells Fredo, "Don't ever take sides against the family again, ever." How he says that to him sets up everything that goes on in Godfather Part 2.
I wonder if it's one of those situations where, you're doing the sequel, you're sitting here, you're trying to come up with ideas for it, and then you go back over it, because we've done this, where you're like talking about, projects and stuff that, especially when you get called in to do a sequel to something, you go back to the original and you go, there is a kernel there. There's that little kernel of information there that I could use. I'm wondering if Coppola, when he went back over the first Godfather, if he went, I can do something with that.
I would believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so because he frames Michael sitting down.
Yeah.
And it's so perfect. And that was the reason why I always just thought, oh no, because he knew he was going to do the sequel because that's in the book. But I agree. I think that somewhere when he was trying to figure out, how he's going to do Godfather Part 2, he probably realized, oh wait a minute, that scene,
And he already knew that Fredo had it in him.
Yes.
To do that.
Well, Fredo was an idiot.
Yeah.
And Michael says that in the second movie. But I think what also makes Michael the villain is, unlike his father, Vito, he lost his family because his heart was cold.
Right.
He couldn't forgive. He was like the ultimate bad guy. Right. And when you kill your own family, because that was the nice thing about the first Godfather, is Brando. We never really saw how evil Brando's Godfather really was, outside of cutting the horse's head, and it was always about family.
It was always off camera.
Oh yeah.
Everything that Marlon did was kind of off camera, so you never saw it really tied directly to him.
No, and he was Brando, but it was always about family.
Yeah.
It was always about family.
Yeah.
And Brando, his Vito would have forgiven Fredo.
Right.
Michael couldn't. And so in the end, Michael he wanted to be so much like his father that he just couldn't. And not to mention the fact that they couldn't get him.
Right.
The government couldn't get him. He was the character that got away with murder, lie, cheat, and they never got him. Kind of reminds you of someone. He's the
Teflon.
Exactly. So he was the perfect criminal that got away. And yes, he did take the family and made them even richer, but he lost his soul in the process.
Right.
And so number one on my top 20 villains list in cinema is Michael Corleone.
Awesome.
Pacino made the list 3 times.
Wow.
I know. So there you go. That's it. That's my list.
It's a good list. It's a good list.
Yeah.
I can't believe of all this bad guy villains that you did not include Clubber Lang from Rocky 3. One of the all-time greatest villains.
Oh, you're so right.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, you have to have Rocky in there, for Christ's sakes. You got to have Mr. T.
Oh,
Mr. T.
I pity the fool.
I mean,
you're right.
I mean, I remember seeing that movie, and he was the most hated man ever in that film. I gotta say, Clubber Lang. I thought for sure you were going to get at least one Rocky bad guy in
I could talk. Okay.
I mean, Rocky has some great bad guys. You had Drago. Well, even Apollo Creed. I think Apollo Creed. Would you say Apollo Creed is more of a
No. I don't see
villain.
No. I don't see Apollo as a villain. I see Apollo as an antagonist.
Okay.
And he's an antagonist that changed throughout the course of the series.
Because he eventually becomes a good guy.
Yeah. He becomes basically Rocky's mentor and his best friend.
Right.
But even the first 2 Rocky movies, he was Apollo Creed. He's not a villain, but he is his antagonist. Right. But Clubber Lang's a villain. Mr. T.
There ain't no sugarcoating that one.
No, I mean, and great lines, too. Great lines. You're right. I mean, what's your prediction for the fight? Pain.
Got that mohawk.
Oh, Mr. T lived. He became Mr. T in the 80s. I'm telling you.
And what was he in real life? He was a bouncer.
He was a bouncer.
He was a bouncer in New York, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, come on, woman. Let me treat you to a real man, I mean, he's hitting on Adrian in front of Rocky? Oh my goodness, that was just great.
The man you love to hate, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's more of a villain than even Dolph, and Dolph was
a great villain.
Yeah, he was a great villain. That and even in Creed 2, for sure. But no, Mr. T was a comic book villain. I'm trying to figure if I could tie him with someone in my top 10. Maybe I'll put Rocky number 19 with the Terminator, Hal, and Mr. Smith.
Well, yeah, Clubber Lang is sort of like AI, right?
Yeah,
he's like every bad guy.
Yeah,
is them like tied in together. It's like if you prompted the bad guy, it would be Mr. T.
It would be Mr. T. Yeah. There you go. With some of the great lines. So, but yeah, so there you go. There's it was quite a list.
That's a terrific list. And I'm sure people out there probably have their own bad guys that they know and love that they might be able to comment down in our section and let us know what your favorite villain is.
Absolutely. So yeah, guys, definitely make sure. Yeah, put it in the what is it? What do you call it?
The comment section.
The comment section. Yeah, give us your top 10 bad guys or top 20 bad guys list.
Yeah.
And make sure, and please, a lot of people have been watching this video, so I'm pretty excited. Yeah. So guys, if you can, subscribe, and share, and then subscribe, and share again.
Yeah.
Now, this is interesting because I want to talk about two films because every podcast we kind of talk about films that we grew up watching that's now having anniversaries because they were a while back. Yeah, and which is interesting because both of these films also have great villain performance. But the first one being The Crow, Brandon Lee, which came out in 1994. So already that's celebrating its 30th anniversary.
What a wonderful film that was, but it's so tragic what happened.
You know, it's really tough to watch that film without feeling. It's the only film that I always get sad and it's haunting, especially when you recognize the fact that
he's so good in it.
He's so good. Brandon Lee is so good in it.
Yeah.
And also the fact that his father, 20 years earlier, passed away in 1973, never finished Game of Death.
Right.
Brandon, his son, dies 1993 on the set of The Crow. And never completely finishing that movie, but then the following year it comes out in 94, and it's a story about a character who dies in this story, comes back kind of as a revenging angel to exact revenge on the people who killed him and his fiance. And that was like this weirdness about it,
Right.
Because watching it a year later, I remember when you told me that Brandon Lee passed away. I remember you were at Dagobah, your
martial arts
school. And then I got the call when you said, yeah, Brandon Lee passed away. And dude, I got to tell you, I was so freaking depressed an entire time. So when the movie came out, beautiful looking movie, a haunting
Well, if you
movie.
take that out of the equation, it's an amazing film.
Oh, yeah.
It's so well done.
Yeah.
Visually, it's just hypnotic.
Yes.
I mean, the visuals in that film are second to none.
Who directed the movie? It was Alex
Proyas?
Yes.
Alex Proyas?
Yeah.
Yeah. He also did Dark City, which is another amazing film. That nobody really talks about, but it's also a very amazing film. But visually, that movie's beautiful to watch. But the story and the style and everything just kind of came together. His performance is excellent on every level. I think if he would have survived, he could have made some really terrific films.
He might have actually...
He may have been the Joker.
Yeah, or he might have actually been Neo in The Matrix.
Exactly.
I mean, who knows?
So many movies he could have done.
He could have done, and it was a heartfelt performance. And again, that was the sad part. It's very similar to Heath as the Joker.
Exactly.
Because watching is ironic. Both men passed away when they were in their 28. Both of them.
Yeah.
Both wearing clown makeup. Don't wear makeup at big 28. Seriously, you're asking for it.
But both of those performances are at the height of their careers.
Yeah,
really. I mean,
at the height. That's the thing. They were just really knocking on the door, and that was so tragic. And a special shout out to Michael Wincott, who played the bad guy. Since we're talking about villain,
you put a smile on my face.
That's the best line. That was the line. That was the line.
He always had such a great voice, Michael Wincott. And I don't know what happened to Michael Wincott. He was the bad guy in so many films in the 90s. Him, Strange Days, and The Crow.
Yeah.
But he was such the perfect bad guy.
Yeah.
He had such a presence about him.
And that voice, yeah. But that line always stuck.
I remember I saw him at the gym one time, and I go, Michael, man, I love your stuff. I said, we'd love to work with you. And he goes, yeah, let's call my agent.
Okay.
He didn't mince words. Just call my agent.
Yeah. I feel like a little worm and a big fucking hook. Well,
your mom and daddy must be proud of you.
But yeah, it really was. But I gotta tell you, yeah, you have put a smile on my face. That was the line. And now, if you
it's not The Crow, but in Stranger Days, when the Ray Fiennes character comes in and goes, Juliette Lewis, the girlfriend,
right?
He goes, and Ray Fiennes is standing there, and Juliette Lewis, and he puts his hand in between them. He goes, I don't feel anything between you two.
Oh yeah, that was another good one. Again, you're right. He was one of the best villains in the 90s.
In the 90s, he was the go-to
He was
guy.
perfect.
Yeah.
Now, if you take The Crow and then you go 10 years back, then you get to another amazing movie. Not a great lead, but a great villain in Streets of Fire. I mean, come on. Streets of Fire came out in 1984.
William Dafoe was like the first time I saw William Dafoe. This is before Platoon.
Yes.
And he was like, where'd they get this guy? Because he was so weird and strange looking, and he had those chiseled features.
Oh no, the spiked hair.
I was when I
saw him, I said,
this guy?
He's like an even more demented Billy Idol.
Yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, right? he had the overalls, the leather overalls.
I always thought that William Dafoe, if they would have did a Batman back then, he would have been a perfect Joker. Right?
Yeah. He stood out because that movie stood out. That movie, I could see how the director of The Crow could have literally watched that movie to help do with The Crow, because that's another movie mostly takes place in almost 90% of it takes place at night.
And very visually striking.
Very visually. Walter Hill knocks out a block.
Diane Lane is so good in that
Diane
movie.
Lane is so sexy, but really we did a podcast about Streets of Fire.
Right. Coming soon.
But one of the things that we recognize is Streets of Fire is a fable. Yeah. It's all about the music. That's really a rock opera.
It is. And
the music is incredible.
So good.
Yeah.
And I don't think the music was appreciated as much as it should have been back then. I think that it's like now become more appreciated now after the fact. Because I remember when the movie came out, it had a couple of hits and it did okay, I think. But when you really watch that movie again, it's like the music is so powerful. And Diane Lane, even though she doesn't do the singing, she pantomimes the shit out of that thing. Perfectly. I mean, she is perfect. She's on point on that.
I mean, you get that opening that they do, but really, let's face it, my favorite song was Tonight's What It Means to Be Young.
Yeah,
I mean, they make the whole music.
Jim Steinman did the music for it, right?
Who?
Jim Steinman.
Yes.
Jim Steinman, which also did the music for Meatloaf back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's
the whole movie.
Operatic.
The whole movie is about the music and the style. Now, this could also explain why they cast Michael Pare, who is he's literally the worst in the movie, but because the movie is such a classic, I truly believe, I don't know if you cast a more leading man, someone that could actually act.
Right.
I don't think you won't have the same movie.
Right.
And I kind of compare Michael Pare's wooden performance a lot, kind of like with Keanu Reeves in Dracula.
Yeah.
Miscast.
Yeah.
But the movie makes up for it.
Yeah, I guess, looking back at that movie, because I felt the same way when I first saw the film. I'm like going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, because I know Michael Pare was in Eddie and the Cruisers. That came out before that. And he was also in The Greatest American Hero.
Yeah. He started there.
Yeah. He did fine in those movies. And I think that for whatever reason, he made a choice playing that role in that movie, because it was different than anything else he had played otherwise. And I think he made a choice in that film, and for whatever reason, I just don't think it was the right choice.
But I think that choice, honestly, was probably Walter Hill.
Maybe.
I think maybe that's the reason he cast him, because I feel like it was almost like, I don't need you to be great.
Right. I just need you to be there.
I just need you to be Exactly.
Because he has the look.
Yeah.
He has a leading man look. But
he doesn't have the leading man talent and skills, and especially in that particularly in that film.
Yeah.
And it just didn't play.
Yeah.
But now I look at that movie, and it's kind of like even the wooden dialogue is not something you can still
Tom
quote from.
Cody.
Yeah.
Pleased to meet you.
But William Dafoe.
I think I may have put too much flair in it right there, but
you did it just right. Probably better than he did. But then I love William Dafoe's comeback, and this shows you an actor in starting his prime. And a wooden actor, because you said that, and then William Dafoe's comeback is Tom. What was his last name?
Tom Cody.
Yeah, Tom Cody. Well, I'll be coming for her, and I'll be coming for you. Boom! Just like that. He drops the mic.
Yeah,
it's just like I said to myself, this guy's going to go places. Yeah, William Dafoe, this guy. But no, both films.
Great bad guy.
Again, another great villain. Yeah. Another great bad guy. I mean, I love that shot where he comes in with the motorcycle. Bill Paxton's there. Yeah. He's on the street, and he comes in with only 2 other guys. And then when the cops try to arrest him, he grabs the horn, and the way it's shot, it's the first time I did it.
I know. It's like, congratulations.
Yeah, but he grabs the horn, and he blows it.
Oh, yeah, the foghorn or whatever the hell it was, yeah.
And then all his men start coming right behind him and stuff like that. But he's in the center. Oh, no, it's a great.
It's a fun movie. Check it out if you get a chance. Yeah. Oh, before we leave, I don't know why I didn't think of this villain before, but it's got to be mentioned.
Mention it.
Richard Gere, playing the cop.
Oh, Internal Affairs.
Internal Affairs.
Oh, what a fucking
bad guy. One of the best villains in movie history, and I mean, Richard Gere has always been known as the good guy in all of his films, But playing that part, boy, I tell you. And the things he does to Andy Garcia.
Oh, yeah.
In that film. I mean, he is one of the great all-time bad guys.
Okay, well, now this will be the last one because that sparked 2 great villains, and I'm shocked that I got to put them on the list. I think I'm gonna put them probably number.
Well, don't worry about the numbers. Who are they?
10.
Yeah.
Come on. Nicolas Cage, Castor Troy, John Travolta, Castor Troy.
Face Off.
They're Face Off. They're so campy and so wonderful.
And so over the top.
They're
so awesome.
over the top. Yeah. They both are so excellent.
Well, the whole premise is so fucking whacked out.
Face off.
But they play it so sincerely that you buy into it.
Well, what was it John Travolta said when he saw Nicolas Cage, Castor Troy, and Travolta went, "Oh, we're playing it like
we're
that."
We're going there, right? Okay. Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is, obviously, Nicolas Cage is incredible as Castor Troy, but Travolta actually he's better as Castor Troy than he is as Sean Archer, because Sean Archer, he's so fucking over the top uptight.
Yeah.
That is just like everything is just like, yelling and screaming. But once he becomes Castor Troy, he's much more fun to hang around with.
It's like, ooh, that's a good looking. Just playing it to the hilt,
Oh. No, how to Face Off.
Yeah, Face Off is a great one.
There you go.
Yeah. And one of the great speedboat chases ever put on film.
Oh,
that speedboat chase, still to this day.
When the boat goes up and we see that they're 2 stunt guys, we don't give a shit.
You don't care because
that stunt was incredible.
Because they fucking brought it, and you're just cheering the fact that they survived. You hope they survived, right?
That was one of the most fun time I've had watching movies.
That was our first Hollywood premiere we went to.
That was?
Yeah.
That was. And to this day, and I scoffed at it because when our producer wanted to give us the tickets instead of paying us, I'm like, who wants to go see Face Off? I'll buy tickets. No. We went and saw it. Met Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
And I ran into John Woo. Literally ran into him.
Literally went to him on the red carpet. We ran.
You remember we went to the Chinese Man and you tried to go around the back because you thought people like us should.
Well, yeah, we should not be on this red carpet.
On the red carpet. And I told you, I think we go on the red carpet.
We got to be a back way, right? Yeah. And I remember we told the guy we gave the ticket to, is there a back way? He goes, no, man, you got to go to the red carpet. You got to go to the red carpet.
Just walk. So, no, that Face Off, I
think that's why you ran into John Woo, because we kept on holding up the line because we were like, are we supposed to go in here?
We were very confused. But yeah, I'm so glad we mentioned them because you can't. How do you?
Yeah.
Come on, we're talking about villains, please. Now, my list is complete. I think if I was gonna play some, I'd probably number 18 next to Michael Myers, Castro. All right,
put a number on it.
All right, I think we're good.
Yeah. So until next time. Okay.
Yeah, and also everyone, we have a film, a documentary, Tough Ain't Enough.
Conversations with Albert S. Ruddy.
Yes.
The producer of The Godfather, $1 Million Baby, and The Longest Yard, which is such an awesome movie. Underrated. They should watch this film because it's so fun, and Burt Reynolds is so good in it. Another great Burt Reynolds film, Cannonball Run, as well as Hogan's Heroes. So definitely one of the great storytellers of all time, Albert S. Ruddy. Check out the documentary. You'll have a great time.
Yeah, can we put the link?
We'll put the link down. It's on Amazon Prime, Tubi.
Or Not To Be.
Or Not To Be.
Right.
Google Play, and as well as, I think, YouTube Movies, I think, is on there. So.
Then you know what? Then I
one movie that I actually liked this year.
What?
Substance.
Oh, Substance is great.
Substance is so awesome.
The Substance is incredible.
I think it should win Best Picture.
That would be funny.
Wouldn't it be great
if
it won Best Picture?
Good night.
Good night, Greg.
Good night. We're out of here.